Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate ringsidenews.com. We are coming off Smackdown live in Chicago featuring the return of everybody's favorite fruity pebble, John Cena. Got your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift with the hashtag PAIV, so let's get started today. First one comes from Boogeyman79. Do you think John Cena's promo on Smackdown is signs of a heel turn? That's the other question. From the last video, somebody asked me, what questions are you tired of answering over and over again? And I would say, is John Cena turning heel at the top of that list? I do not see John Cena turning heel. Yes, it is a little bit of a character change for him, which I liked. He was a bit cockier than usual, and I thought that was good. I think it creates a good dynamic for John Cena versus AJ Styles. And the thing is, Cena gets these really loud reactions. Some people love him, some people hate him, but everybody is on their feet when he comes out. I do not see WWE changing things with John Cena too much. They have something good with him. John Cena versus AJ is going to have a tremendous amount of heat. So why jeopardize that? If you turn John Cena heel and make him a full-fledged heel, who knows how the fans will react to him? Maybe all of them will cheer him. You just don't know. And I think WWE, in a way, has a good thing with John Cena as he is right now. Just let him do what he's doing. And I've said this before. I think if WWE was going to turn John Cena heel, they should have done it years ago. I think in 2012, with the whole angle where Kane was trying to get John Cena to embrace the hate, I think that would have been the best time. I think the ship has sailed on a John Cena heel turn, quite frankly. That's just my opinion, at least. And this next one comes from Carl. Hey Aaron, what about a double turn of Cena and Styles? Here we go with the Cena heel turn questions again. Hear me out. You'd have a heel Cena finally versus a face Undertaker at Mania. I actually think that's a fine idea, if you're asking me personally. But, again, the dynamic with John Cena as he is versus Undertaker, that would have tremendous heat. So why jeopardize that? I'd love to see a heel John Cena. I think he would do a great job with it, and who knows? I mean, I would not rule out it ever happening, but I think it's unlikely. It would surprise me a lot. Perhaps even more than Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. A full-fledged John Cena heel turn, I just don't see that happening. But I can see WWE tweaking the character like they've been doing with his return, having him be a little bit more cocky and full of himself. You know, it does show that John Cena has a little bit of an attitude, and that I like. You know, JBL on Talking Smack was saying it's like the ruthless aggression Cena was back. I think that's a good thing for his character. At least it's changing things up a little bit, but I do not see a double turn with AJ and Cena. And it seems like every time AJ has a new opponent, somebody's asking me, are they going to do a double turn? I got that question for AJ and Ambrose. I got it asked when AJ fought Ziggler. And now with Cena, I'm getting that question. I don't see a double turn happening with Cena and AJ at least. This one comes from #master@deleting. Now since AJ versus Cena is official, where's The Undertaker? What is he doing? He said Mania will not define him. Where is he? I wish I had a good answer for you. I suspect we will see Undertaker sooner than later. The crowd in Chicago, they were chanting Undertaker, and I think it's inevitable he will be back in the near future. Maybe at the Royal Rumble. Maybe Undertaker will enter the Royal Rumble as a surprise and win the whole thing, and then face John Cena for the WWE title at WrestleMania, title versus career. That has been the big rumor on the internet, and I think that's the most likely possibility for WrestleMania at this point. So, yeah, it will be Undertaker in some fashion at WrestleMania. But yeah, it seems a little bit weird that he made that big speech on Smackdown and we haven't seen him since. That's a little weird, but I do think we will see him in the near future, possibly as soon as the Royal Rumble. This next one comes from Gary O'Sullivan. Hey Aaron, if Undertaker wins the Royal Rumble now, will it be too obvious and would fans crap on it, or do you think they would cheer? I think I would like the idea of Undertaker being a surprise more than announcing him in advance. I know WWE will have that temptation to promote The Undertaker for the Royal Rumble because they're trying to fill up the Alamo Dome, I could see them announcing him in advance. But I think if you have him come out as a surprise, that would pretty much guarantee a positive reaction. I mean, I think Undertaker winning would get a great reaction regardless. It's not going to be like Batista where the fans turn on him. Undertaker is one of the most beloved superstars in WWE history, and there was a time where I was critical, you know, when he had that match with Brock. I was critical of the feud, and people got on my case. I mean, it's almost sacrilege to criticize anything The Undertaker does because he's such a legend. So I don't see any kind of backlash, fans turning on The Undertaker because of a predictable main event for WrestleMania. That I do not see happening. That would shock me more than Cena turning heel, and I already mentioned how shocking that would be. Next one comes from Daza. Do you think WWE will have problems booking WrestleMania with all the top guys available but a limited amount of spots? I could see that being more of an issue this year. I mean, last year you had a lot of guys on the injured list, and that allowed some guys like AJ Styles to get a key position at WrestleMania. Who knows if AJ would have gotten that spot if he didn't have so many people hurt. I mean, that's something to really think about. This year you have a lot of guys on both shows, and everyone is pretty much healthy at this point. So that could be a problem, and I think that's why WWE, you know, they justify doing these 8-hour WrestleManias so they could fit everybody on the WrestleMania card. And I'm sure we'll see our Battle Royal to get a lot of people on the show, and we'll have the multi-man tag team matches and, you know, the 8-person ladder match, and they'll have all those usual matches to make sure everybody gets a spot on the show. But I think it will be a little bit more difficult this year than it was last year, just because pretty much everyone's healthy, and even Finn Balor might be back in time for WrestleMania. So you're going to have a lot of people with limited spots. So it should be somewhat of a problem, but you know, WWE will work it out the way they usually do by having a bunch of multi-man matches. That's their solution. Hey Aaron, do you think WWE made a smart decision to let American Alpha become the Smackdown Live Tag Team Champions? I've actually seen a few people critical of this, I mean, overall SmackDown was extremely well received, and I'm happy American Alpha won. I could see the argument that maybe it was too soon for Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, and in this case it was Luke Harper and Randy Orton. They were doing the Freebird Rules thing. It might have been too soon. I mean, those guys were building up some momentum as tag team champions, but like I said in previous videos, I'm expecting Orton and Bray Wyatt to have their split and face off at WrestleMania. That's what I'm expecting, at least. So at some point, I think they were going to lose the titles before WrestleMania. This was just a little bit sooner than I was expecting. And this one comes from Steven on this topic. Why did American Alpha win the titles? Was it due to Ryder's injury? Were the Hype Bros originally going to defeat them? Talking about Orton and Bray Wyatt, or Orton and Luke Harper, whatever. I do not think Ryder and Mojo were going to win the tag team titles. So I think perhaps what was going to happen originally was Hype Brothers would lose, and then American Alpha would step in and get the title shot at the Royal Rumble and win the titles at the Royal Rumble, which might have been better, but because of Zach's injury, they had to speed up the process, and they decided to just go with American Alpha winning the titles on the Chicago Smackdown, figuring since Cena's going to be on the show, it's going to be a big edition of Smackdown that's going to be watched more than usual, a higher rating than usual. They decided just to speed up the process and have Alpha win the titles on the Smackdown show, which I'm fine with. I do think American Alpha winning the titles at the Rumble would have been a little bit more memorable, but to me this was fine. I just feel like some people that maybe it was too soon for Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt to lose the titles, and they're already having the friction between the two sides. But again, the Hype Brothers and the thing with Zack Ryder getting hurt probably played a factor in the storyline progressing faster than WWE had originally intended. And I got this one here from Jishnu. Are the tag team titles the next hot potato of WWE? I really hope not. I mean, now that American Alpha are the tag team champions, I would keep the titles on them for a while. I would let them be the dominant team, and I'm sure Orton and Bray Wyatt will get their rematch probably at the Royal Rumble, and I expect American Alpha to win, and the split between Randy Orton and Bray to continue at the Royal Rumble. And I think American Alpha should be tag team champions through WrestleMania. Have them defend the titles at WrestleMania against a top-tier tag team. Maybe even bring up the Revival. Although, going back to that earlier question, with so many teams, maybe it's too soon to call up the Revival. I'm trying to think of what other teams you could have face American Alpha at WrestleMania. I mean, I could see WWE just, doing one of those multi-man tag team matches, doing 4 teams in one match, something like that. Even though we just saw that on the Smackdown where they won the titles, I could see that happening at WrestleMania. Not really interested in seeing Febreze versus American Alpha at WrestleMania. So they got to come up with something better than that. This one comes from @RavishingRaven. Can you see Sami Zayn handing Braun Strowman his first loss, or will Strowman be saved for someone else? I do not see Sami Zayn beating Braun Strowman. They are booking Strowman like a monster right now. And if you watched the last video, I talked about Strowman and Reigns. I think it's pretty clear they're building up Strowman for Roman. And that's why Strowman is being booked like a complete monster. And he had Seth Rollins, he had him dominated. And then it was Sami Zayn's interference that caused the DQ. So he was even getting one over on Seth Rollins. That's how strong WWE is booking Braun Strowman right now. I expect Strowman versus Reigns at WrestleMania. The question is, will it be for the Universal title or not? And I think Reigns will be the guy to end the reign of terror of Braun Strowman. Now, will Strowman win the U.S. title first? That's a possibility. I mean, I expect one of those titles to be on the line, and Roman to probably win at WrestleMania. Alright, next one comes from Garrett Mills. If Houston and Dallas can host WrestleManias, do you think San Antonio should get one too? I mean, Houston got 2. I know Texas is a big state, but is it really that far to travel to Houston or Dallas for WrestleMania if you live in San Antonio? I think that San Antonio might get it someday, but they're already getting the Royal Rumble right now. They're getting the big event at the Alamo Dome, and I guess if it goes really well, the door would be open to doing a WrestleMania at the Alamo Dome, but I think it's a long shot. First of all, I think Texas has got enough WrestleManias, all of Texas, period. Like I said in the last video, bring it to the Pacific Northwest or do it somewhere else. Go to Canada, change it up. Texas has gotten a lot of WrestleManias, and you guys should be happy in Texas. You're getting a lot of big shows. You're getting the Royal Rumble. LA got screwed out of the Royal Rumble this year, so, be happy with what you got. Some cities barely get anything. I mean, Portland, Oregon hasn't gotten a WWE pay-per-view in almost a decade. I think No Mercy 2008 was the last pay-per-view in Oregon. So you guys have it pretty good in Texas. So I would not complain too much about having to travel from San Antonio to Dallas or Houston for WrestleMania. But that's just me. This one comes from Tyler. What do you think of Jack Gallagher, and who is your favorite cruiserweight? I like him because he's unique and he's one of the few interesting characters in the cruiserweight division. At least he's got a character. I mean, they are trying to develop characters for these guys, but Gallagher actually does have his own distinctive gimmick, and that whole duel segment with Daivari, it was interesting. I'm not sure if the execution was done to perfection, but I do think it was an interesting segment, and I like the fact that we're seeing something different. The stuff with the umbrella, it was entertaining. I found it to be entertaining, and it adds some depth to the cruiserweight division instead of these guys just doing flips and all that stuff in every single match. So it's a nice change of pace, and I am a fan of him, and I would say he's probably the most interesting character in the cruiserweight division right now, with the exception of Neville. I mean, Neville's great, and I like what they're doing with him as a heel. So we'll see where things go. This one comes from Jared J. Smith. Hey Aaron, what do you think of Sting's run in TNA? And also, what was his greatest match? I think Sting had a good run in TNA overall. He made a lot of money, and he did very well for himself, and he had some memorable storylines, and even though I complained about it at the time, I liked the Joker Sting, and I think Sting got really good on the mic in TNA. He was never that great in WCW, but in TNA, I think his promos were really strong, and I think he did the best he could with the material he was given. And he had some good matches. I'm not sure if you're asking me what was his best match in TNA or his best match overall. In TNA, I would say probably the Bound for Glory match with either Kurt Angle in 2007 or AJ Styles in 2009, I think, in California. Those are the two that stand out the most to me. And overall, of course, the match with Ric Flair at the Great American Bash in 1990, I think that would have to be at the top of Sting's all-time greatest moments. That'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it on Facebook, Twitter, tell a friend about No DQ&A video, leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite Sting match was, either TNA or overall, and do not list Hogan versus Sting at Starrcade or Sting versus Triple H at WrestleMania 31. If you do that, we're going to have a problem. But in all seriousness, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the video. And I will see you guys next time for another edition of No DQ&A video.